And your voice doesn't fill me with confidence, Dan.
Well, it definitely is the Planet Destiny profile, and it is a Scene PD podcast. So I think we're live. I believe, yeah, I believe that's done it.
All right, well, I'm going to put my trust in you because that inflection, you raised your tone at the end of that sentence there. I
Yeah.
mean, kind of
Leads
got
one to
me sweating
wonder.
a little bit.
Look, I am the epitome of sweat right now.
Oh,
So
damn,
much sweat.
Dan.
So much sweat.
Where's Fandinity? Looking kind of sus, man.
He's over here. He's just not. He's not. He's not on.
How is he taking?
So well. I think you and I were heading in the same direction with this. So he's been taking the blow to OnlyFans quite personally, and honestly, I'm upset about it too. Just because there's a whole other like income that could have come through, and I don't know. It's upsetting.
Listen, fan work is real work.
Fan work is real work. Yep.
It is real work. I'm going to slide him a 50 at the end of the show.
Oh, please
I got
do.
you, Fandinity.
Dan,
Stay strong.
that's a pun worthy of several generations of fathering right there.
I told you
You're ready.
One day I'm going to be a great dad.
Yep.
Your jokes are on point. I approve.
I very much agreed with that tweet. You're going to be there. It's going to be great. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 290 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to this week in Destiny. And what a week it's been. All kinds of insane sorts of information getting ready to come out. Of course, we have got Season 15 starting up in just a few days. We've got a Bungie showcase that's going to be showing off the future of the franchise. Probably a whole lot of Witch Queen stuff in there, and maybe even a little bit of information about what's going to be coming beyond that. And we even got some news about anti-cheat this week. Seemingly accidentally at first, but then kind of officially after that. Did you guys keep up with that?
Dude, there's just so much going on this week. My head was spinning.
That's one of those ones where somebody hit live a little bit before they might have should have, and then the rest HQ was like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing? Just never mind. Run with it. Run with it." We'll do it live. It was great. It's funny because it's like by the time I'm done reading like the pages that went up for it, that were like they were only in non-English languages. By the time I finished that, Bungie had just kind of said, "Okay, yeah, sure." It's
Cat was out of that bag.
Cat's out of the bag. They'll just go ahead and roll with it. And there's plenty of other news to cover in addition to that. But welcome back to the show. We've got our usual roundtable of hosts, including the main host of this show, Mr. Dan Finity.
Oh, hi! Welcome in. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcast. That's it. That's all I want to say.
You've been busy, man. We were talking a little bit before the show. Up in those production values, man. You freaked some people out with the chapters. Whatnot you did with the show.
I'm so excited about it. It is allowed for a new vein of creativity and just it's wonderful. I love it. I hope the folks who are able to go through the chapters appreciate the extra 10 minutes of work that I took to make that possible.
The whole extra 10 minutes. Appreciate this man for what he does. Of course, I am the Black Link, and joining us tonight, a return guest host, the one, the only, the man of 1,000 weapon reviews, Mr. Critbuff. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, TBL. Hi, Dan. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Hey, man, it's great to have you back here, and pretty good week to have you back, considering we've got an absolute ton of weapon change news to get into. The TWAB that dropped this week was just chock full of information about major system changes. We've got infinite primary ammo coming, which is, I'll take it. I'll absolutely take that. We've got major fusion rifle changes, which I know you want to get into, Crit. We've got huge exotic changes and all kinds of things. But I figure we'll kind of roll things out in somewhat of a structured format this week since there's so much to cover. And of course, what's upcoming is going to be one of the biggest weeks in Destiny history. We've got the incoming of a brand new season with Season 15. It's going to have a ton of huge quality of life changes. Stuff like crossplay is going to be going live very early in the season. Breaking down the walls, the barriers between platforms. We've been talking about it. Really, it seems like forever. And it's finally almost here. We're going to be getting access to that sometime soon. We're going to be learning a lot more about the Witch Queen and all kinds of things moving forward. So I guess that's where we should start. we've got the showcase coming up in a few days. Planet Destiny is actually going to be doing something a little bit interesting. We'll be going live around the same time as the showcase. I do believe it's Tuesday. It's the 24th at what, 9 a.m. or Pacific time?
I believe so. Yes.
Because it's
So
about an hour before reset.
yeah, we'll be live. I know there's going to be like an hour-long countdown. Then there's going to be the reveal, and then that should be reset, and it should be
Yeah.
pretty bonkers. So I think we've discussed. I think we're doing a talk over the thing.
Right.
So like it'll be you, me, Nim, Moonvald, and I believe Kaith from the lore panel. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be nutty. We're just going to be talking over it, seeing how it goes.
Yeah, so come and hang out with us. We're going to be going over basically everything that Bungie does there. It'll serve as kind of a bit of a news show there. And if you don't have the time to hang out there, we will be porting that over to the YouTube channel so people can get caught up on that.
I'm also going to see if we can put it up on the podcast as well as like a
Ooh,
special
that'd be
bonus episode. So we'll see.
I'll take that in chapters. We dig it. So we will start with the Witch Queen showcase. What is everyone here looking forward to? Is there anything in particular that you'd love to see from Bungie? And I guess we can start with you, Crit.
Everyone's speculated about a new subclass tree. Now that's not
Yeah.
written in stone anywhere. I want to expectation setting here, just from one fan of the game to all the others out there. No one has come from on high in Bellevue, Washington, carrying tablets that said, "There shall be a new subclass every release." Okay, so
Yeah.
let's refrain from sending death threats and harassing developers
Let's not do
online. If there's not a new subclass, can we just all agree that's probably not the play?
I don't think you have to remind the people that listen to this show.
Okay, I just like my heart goes out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there is a new subclass, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be interesting. So, what kind of subclass would you like to see? Would you be looking for something like a corruption-based subclass, like people were speculating that like a Thorn-esque subclass would be happening there?
So yeah, Kuji did a great video on this with Mel from Painstis and other members of the community, and it's just, if you haven't done it, just even if corruption isn't the subclass that comes out, it's a work
Yeah.
of art what Kuji and the community have put together. So please do go check that out. I know speculation is very heavily leaning towards a corruption-based subclass. I don't know. Stasis seems to be the antithesis to Solar, right? So
Right.
in a weird way, Void has always felt like it should be a darkness subclass to me, right?
Yeah,
Just because when
yeah.
you think of the Void and its suppressing effects, that almost seems like it should be darkness subclass. You can hear my daughter in the
Yeah,
background.
it's all good.
No worries.
It's all
My
good.
4-year-old does not care that we are doing a podcast.
Hey, it's all good. Do they know
so-
anything about anarchy?
I know she's better at Mario Kart than my wife.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Tell them to watch out. Blue Shell doesn't care where you are, man. Doesn't care who you are.
So I really couldn't speculate, but there's a reason I don't make games. I just
Yeah.
play and enjoy them. So whatever they're going to come up with is a million times better than what I could speculate.
Right, and I think that's a really interesting point because Bungie has in previous weeks they've talked about some of the crazy things they're going to be doing to revamp some of the light-based subclasses. We got to cover that in a previous issue of this show.
Yeah.
And while Stasis has had a monumental place here, there have been hints towards additional subclasses coming. It has been something that's been speculated for a long time, and Witch Queen, I think, would probably be the perfect time to kind of introduce that. They're sort of primed for it. And a corruption-based one. I mean, Kuj did a great job with a lot of the work they put into the kind of proof of concepts there. I think that could work. Like just a class that's centered around dots and debuffs on enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty neat idea. As a guy who plays a lot of MMOs,
Sign me
that's-
up.
yeah, sign me up. It sounds pretty cool.
It would
It's a
definitely,
poison subclass.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would definitely be like another tool in the kit. I myself have been finding
Right.
that I've been really enjoying the Stasis Warlock with the turrets for
Yeah.
GMs. Like I was running that
Steve!
pretty much all day. Yeah, and so like it would. I think it would be interesting to like pair that with a damage over time type of play style. So I don't know. Very interesting.
No, it's I think there's a lot of potential there. You know, we got to see a little bit of a hint of that with the necrotic grips and how those pair with guns like Thorn, where you know you can kind of just go and start shooting into a room and then watch a bunch of enemies poison each other. And we're getting an effect sort of like that, I think, with one of the Solar Warlock classes next season, where you're going to be able to spread a dot that burns things, and then anything that dies with the dot explodes and spreads it to other stuff. So they're kind of playing around with this idea. I would love to see a full subclass based on it, though. That'd be real interesting.
Same.
What about you, Dan? What are you most looking forward to?
Man, so there's just been so much hype building over the past like
Yeah.
2 weeks, especially for this. I kind of took a week off to either like prepare for the season or like just chill from stream. I'm looking forward to coming back to stream. I'm looking forward to
Right.
whatever we get with Season of the Lost. Anytime Marasav shows up, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Usually, like big things come
Are you
when
bragging right now, Dan?
yes, exactly. When Marasov shows up. So I am
Phrasing.
fairly excited. I'm fairly excited to see what Season of Lost has to offer, as well as like the stasis weapons.
Yeah.
Those are going to be huge.
Right, and we'll be learning a bit more. We'll cover that pretty quickly when we get into the news section here, because I think there's a small part about that in the TWAB. Bungie finally addresses what legendary stasis weapons are going to look like, and we'll be getting hands on those sometime real soon. A couple days away from season 15.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a question that I struggled a bit with because we don't really know too much about everything that's going to be happening in Witch Queen. I'd assume that that we're going to be getting, you know, the standard new 6-player activity and all of that kind of stuff. But I tried to figure what new bit of content would I really be looking forward to, and I think I might have picked one that I'm kind of gassing myself up on a little bit. So pretty clearly, it's going to be a Savathun, probably focused DLC.
Mhm.
It would have to be the swerve of all swerves for it to move away from that. That kind of links back to something that's been in the Destiny 2 code for a long time, and that is a return to the Dreadnought or a Dreadnought type environment. Because we haven't really had a full Hive type environment since the Dreadnought back in D1, where we got to explore, you know, basically we got to go rummaging through Oryx's house before then going into his throne world, which is basically rummaging through Oryx's master bedroom. And I always thought that was a really interesting sort of lore-based environment. So I'd love to see what new locale we're going to be getting whenever we move into Witch Queen. And I get a feeling that's probably going to be a pretty big part of the live stream.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, because they always spend a lot of time talking about their new environments, the new world spaces you'll be exploring, and I think that'll be pretty neat. That's probably what I'm.
Yeah, I mean, their environmental artists always knock it out of the park. I think we can all agree on that.
They
Yeah, unbelievable.
So there's been some speculation about like old Chicago, especially
Yeah.
from that image that we got of the hunter, dressed out in that alchemy garb. So I'd be excited to see if we're going to be going there.
Yeah.
I'm also interested to see what will be going away
Oh,
because
yeah.
I don't know that we can get a new place without something else saying later. You know?
I'm pretty sure I've got an idea for what's going to be going away.
Yeah.
You mentioned Marasov coming back. Yeah, I think that's for a reason. I
Yeah.
think that's because we're about to wrap up the Dreaming City story, and then the Dreaming City's heading into the vault.
Mm-hmm. We're going to bookend that one, I think.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and finish the final chapter and close up the book on the Dreaming City curse. That's why Marasov is coming back. It'll be a run up into the story of Witch Queen, and then Dreaming City is probably getting yeeted right on out of here.
Yeah. It's such a shame too because it's such a beautiful space and like with so
Ludicrously
much
beautiful.
depth.
Right.
There are so many good memories associated with it. Everything, the Forsaken launch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like it's a world space. I can still remember the day that when Forsaken came out and like the first couple of teams were finishing up the campaign, and then immediately getting access to this entirely new location that nobody had any idea about, and just how expansive the Dreaming City itself is. It's a amazing locale. It's one that I think stands up among Bungie's best in
Mm-hmm.
like their history, not just of Destiny, but in Halo and all of the games that they've created. Man, bringing me back to the days of Marathon. It's the Dreaming City was just a marvel of environmental work, and if it is going to be vaulted after next season, that is going to bum me out. It's going to be a bummer.
Yeah, it's a land of secrets, and it's, I think, the bar set for any environmental space.
Absolutely, I think it's definitely the standard bearer for environmental space in the Destiny franchise. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And narratively too, right? The narrative was tied into a living, breathing area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got to change with a raid.
And that's probably the like craziest thing about the Dreaming City, right? Is that like they allowed this place to have this growth to it that we hadn't experienced in Destiny previously. And so
Right.
like I'm kind of sad to see it go because of that, but completely understand if we have to get something else.
Well, just remember what Vision said, in Age of Ultron. Things aren't beautiful because they last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Words of wisdom. But all right, so that's our hopes for the live stream on Tuesday. Of course, immediately after that live stream goes away, we've got an entirely new season's worth of content coming forward. And while Dan, I guess you and I have been answering the question of what we're most looking forward to in season 15
Yeah.
every week for the last 10 weeks.
Oh wait,
I
have
we've
we?
heard maybe once or twice. Maybe that's been our topic of conversation once or twice. I'd love to hear, Crit, what you are most looking forward to starting next season.
I mean, we all know who I am and what I do. It's got to be the guns.
Yeah, and there's going to be some pretty interesting changes with a lot of those guns moving forward. As a matter of fact, we got a rather meaty TWAB this week that detailed quite a few of those changes in particular. And I figure, this might be a good enough time to just go ahead and dump on into that. You mentioned before, you wanted to talk about fusion rifles. Why is that?
Well, as you can see, I am a father, and having fathered 2 children, I am exponentially better with a fusion rifle than someone who only had 1 child. And I am infinitely
So wait,
better
hold
than
on,
someone
hold
who's not had any children.
Hold on.
100%.
So does that mean that Aura just leveled up?
Is now even more threatening than he was before with his Arantel.
That dude had 30,000 kills on his Arantel.
Just go ahead and triple that. It's exponential growth, man. The line just.
This man just got the dad upgrade.
Yeah.
Oh no.
He's Silver Age Superman as far as you're concerned.
Oh
now.
my god.
Oh no.
We miss you, Aura.
He's the Toon Force Superman?
Yeah.
This dude is going to be sneezing away galaxies in a couple seconds. Oh no.
That's where he's at now. He can't be helped. The more he reproduces, he's like a Viltrumite. The older he gets, the stronger he's going to get. The more children he fathers, the more powerful his fusion rifle skills.
If he has another kid, he's going to become a 5th dimensional dwarf.
His eyes just start
He's
glowing.
going to become Mr. Mixel Pitlick.
Effectively.
You'll have to say his name backwards to get rid of him.
So you have to trick him to say it backwards.
Right, you have to trick him into calling himself Evil Aura again to get him out of your lobby. Well,
Yes.
Mr. Dad, we've got a lot of fusion rifles changes coming. I mean, did any of them catch your eye?
So several. The true separation of the archetypes, I think, is most important here, right? So we see what has been a problem, and Cool Guy talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
Traditionally, they've all fired the same number of bolts, and that just made high impacts the default option, right? Because if they're all going to fire the same number of bolts, then you're going to choose the one that hits for the hardest from the greatest distance.
Yep.
It was that simple. It was never really a choice. So with this dynamic shift, right? Not only does charge time affect things now, but a high impact is going to fire what? Fewer? How many bolts is it?
9, I think, is or 5. It's going down to 5.
Right.
While the faster ones are going to be jumping up from 7 to 9.
Right. So now, yes, that air until that glacial chasm can't hit from further away, but you're going to need to hit all the bolts, whereas before you had a margin of error.
Yeah.
And what I think is going to be great is I think you're going to see a lot of people out there with maybe a godly Cartesian coordinate. Like I have a Cartesian with a decent amount of zoom on this the sight. It's got liquid coils for more damage per bolt. It's got what the heck else? Like I think it's under pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the stability, because if you're a fusion rifle aficionado, it's stability that matters, not range.
Matters.
Mhm.
Right. And I apologize for the background. It's
all good. It's all
You're
good.
good, man.
Yeah.
right. So, and then maybe like a stability masterwork, or even a charge time masterwork isn't the kiss of death anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I've got an adept plug 1 that I took into a match before this, and I took that in my Time Worn Spire because like True Vanguard, who also is a father. We all the dad is
Yeah.
loadouts, and I killed 32 on Radiant Cliffs.
It's nuts.
With an adept plug 1. Now it's a pretty well rolled adept plug 1. It's not the perfect stability roll, but it's still good. It's adept. It's got the stability masterwork, but it had a charge time masterwork. And before I saw this TWAB, I was like, man, this could have been great.
Yeah.
But that stinking charge time masterwork, it's like it gives with one hand and it takes with the other. Well, now that's not the kiss of death.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a problem that other archetypes have suffered from before too. We just actually kind of saw it with 120 hand cannons being one of the primary top tier kill options in PvP. It's like, well, you could use one of the faster firing ones, but why would you? They're going to get outranged, not as consistent. And this has been an issue for fusion rifles for quite a while. And it's so frustrating when it's really just one sort of build that's the most viable out of all.
Yeah,
And
there's no options.
Yeah, there's no options. And then you get a perfect fusion rifle, right archetype, charge rate, the charge time masterwork. It's like, oh, well, got to throw that away because it's not going to be the one. So I'm glad that they're differentiating the fusion rifles, actually kind of leaning into their roles here. Because I used to be a fairly big fan of Plan C back in Destiny 1. Because, good lord, shotgun aping in D1 with all the speed we had back then was just monstrous, and Plan C was a great sort of panic option to shut down the incoming Matador 64. And I'm glad they're leaning into that to kind of try and make, we'll have to play around and see once Tuesday rolls around, but they're trying to make some of these other options, like the faster charging fusion rifles, more viable moving forward. And I think that's always a good thing.
And backup plan isn't even a kiss of death now, right? After the backup plan change, you were like, oh, I don't want backup plan. It turns my high impacts into a rapid fire. This is pointless.
Garbage.
Now it's still going to make it faster, but it's not going to be such a hit to the damage.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
one of my big questions here is, there was a lot of discussion a couple weeks back about the slide nerf to stability, to shotgun pellet spread, and to flinch. How do we feel fusions are going to go into this new slide nerf, as it were, especially if stability is affected?
My kickstart.
I mean, yeah. I was gonna say, rest in peace, Kickstart.
Ouch.
You're right up there with Air Assault now in terms of
Right? Why do I have this?
yeah. Kickstart was always kind of something you had to learn to adjust to, anyways, because it was very finicky. I think this really, I guess, slideways and slide shot, are valuable more so now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because slideways specifically works on stability and handling and partially reloads. So you might start to see slideways gain value on fusion rifles if you just can't stop sliding.
Okay.
Movement doesn't stop.
I'm gonna be 40 this year. I ain't sliding around my corners. I got my cane and my walker, and I'm pre-firing, and I'm gonna get that.
Knees don't work the same.
They don't.
I was watching a Node video the other day where they were playing TTT with airsoft guns, and this guy tried to slide in, and it doesn't work the same as in video games. So
No physics.
yeah. So
and concrete and
Yeah.
gravel and pavement. Don't slide on that.
talk about a nerf to sliding. It was rough.
Yeah, it's a hotly debated subject. Again, I have learned that this is not a competitive game, and
Oh yeah.
I I'm getting old. I'm only getting slower. So of course, I'm a proponent of the change. But I
Yeah.
understand not everybody is.
Right. So again, no problem. So with all of these different changes here, I'm trying to figure out which fusion rifles I'm gonna want to throw into the Crucible right after the update goes live. Do you have any ideas for what you might want to test out first?
Well, again, plug one, just because I think precision frames are going to possibly emerge as the champions, and Chris Proctor
Yeah.
even mentions wanting to have a good plug one ready for this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are a more aggressive player, I would highly invest in focusing a Cartesian coordinate from the Prismatic
Yes.
Recaster. Let's see, what else? The high impacts are still going to play a role. They're just not going to be the undisputed kings and queens.
Right.
And then, of course, Bastion also being changed. We need to talk about Bastion.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about fusion rifles.
Might as well. It is a fusion, and they are putting my boy to the pasture. Rest in peace. No.
I mean, you're not going to be. It's almost enough to kill with just one of the three
Coils.
pellet spreads, right?
Yeah. No more one coil kills.
The collaterals you could get. This. I
Yeah.
mean,
Bastion was always such a weird weird choice for me, because like I remember when it first came out and we were doing testing with it and discovered that it essentially fires 3 times the amount of bolts as every other fusion rifle. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Surely they accounted for the damage difference in PvP, right?
No.
No.
No, they did
at
not.
all. You just get 3 times the amount of damage as every other fusion, and it's fine. This is fine. With a minimum damage even across crazy distances. It's like, oh, okay, all right.
I
it
still
was so funny. But everybody was so angry when Bastion was the reward for the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
People
Oh my
are like,
goodness.
it's delivering the eulogy, like, oh, we buried
Yeah.
them with their favorite weapon, and everybody's like, oh, this is garbage. It's not my
Kinetic
favorite
fusion?
weapon.
Ugh.
And then, like the SpongeBob thing, a few months later.
Yeah.
It was a lot like Lord of Wolves to me, whereas like everybody's like, oh, this gun's garbage, and I'm sitting here like, oh no, winter was coming.
I do think the buff to PvE damage is definitely going to help it over the next season.
Yeah.
Because they even said so themselves. They increased PvE damage by 25%, so overall around a 10% increase
That's heavy.
in PvE.
We'll take it.
So yeah, that's
And it's inherently unstoppable too, right? So
yeah.
Yes. And it still has
That's
utility in PvE. Its ability to bypass like a third of it, just put a third of its damage, just ignores enemy shields. Like that's the way its ability generally works. It's just shields don't matter to it. And so that's still been beneficial dealing with certain, tanky shieldy boys on match game and whatnot.
especially if you're in match game, right? And your one
Yeah.
teammate who's got solar is down, and a wizard is just spamming bolts into their corpse in a smoke cloud, and you're like, well, I guess this means this is the end of the run because nobody's popping that shield and nobody's getting to that guardian to res them.
I don't know what you're talking about, Crit.
God bless you earlier today, man, trying to help out in Glassway. Like you get a free pass into the pearly gates as far as I'm concerned.
We got it done. We got it done. It was a good day.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, 25% damage boost in PvE I think is fantastic. A lot of fusions needed that.
Yeah.
Interesting that that's also going to apply to Merciless.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay.
Dude, Merciless is going to be the unstoppable weapon next season because think about it, right? You stun it, and now Merciless is like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, 'cause it's like, wait, that guy's not dead yet? Let me up my power, bro. Wait, he's not dead yet? Let me up my power, bro. Yeah, not going to be bad at all.
Yeah, Merciless is going to be like, especially with the Anarchy boss damage nerf and everything.
Yeah.
Merciless could be the go. In Telesto, think about it. Telesto, it's like, oh man, that unstoppable is barreling towards us, and if we try to go out there and kill him, we're dead. I have an idea. Hey, I'm over here.
Here,
Yeah.
back up. Backing up. Backing up. Backing up. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, oh, it'd be a shame if you came over here and killed us all while we're helpless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the champion mods next season I'm actually really excited for.
Yeah.
I think that
Overload bow,
fusion
let's go.
Overload bow is going to be interesting. Going to be super interesting and unstoppable for fusion rifles. It's just there's so many different activities we're going to be able to get into. I mean, shoot, even Vex Mythoclast, which is getting incredible buffs.
Yeah, I
in
need
the
to get
next
that
couple of
catalyst
days.
this week.
Yeah, somebody please help me. I can't shoot that many oracles.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody please. I'm too old for that. I can't see them oracles.
Oh, it's. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I was gonna say something to note. Arbalist will not be getting the stun feature.
Yes.
I believe DMG
Yeah.
posted that shortly after they talked about this TWAB. But yeah, the Arbalist will not be getting the. I believe it's unstoppable.
Anti-barrier.
Anti-barrier?
Is what they're going to try to give it.
Yeah.
If that, and Chris even mentions in the TWAB in a future update, or Cosmo does.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody read that to, of course, interpret that as, oh, as soon as Season 15 launches.
Yeah. No.
Of course, immediately afterwards. But yeah, I mean, Vex is getting like a damage bonus increase of like 40% or that. They're putting its range stat up there with high impact auto rifles. Lol. It's getting increased stability, which it needed. They've reworked the catalyst, I think. What does the catalyst do? I think it gives
More stability and damage on kills.
So it sounds like Crit needs to make another video. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't have it, and I'm afraid of it. The Crucible match is just going to be me in a corner somewhere doing this. Just like...
Like it's crazy changes. They've increased its rate of fire, I want to say, and like they lowered the charge time for the linear fusion. A lot of these changes, I think, are really good. Some of them were necessary because Vex Mythoclast functioned as a worse fusion rifle than every other fusion in the game, and a worse linear fusion rifle than every other linear fusion rifle in the game, and a worse auto rifle than every other auto rifle in the game. It just had no real niche basically anywhere. And I know during the TWAB, Bungie talked a bit about how they didn't want to ship it in too powerful of a spot.
Yeah.
Likely dealing with the nightmares from T1's Mythoclast. But was not in a good spot, so I'm really happy to see that it's getting some crazy buffs here. And when you mix that in with the fact that, we've got some of the champion mods coming forward and being active for fusion rifles and linear fusion rifles, going to be interesting to see if Vex counts as both of those.
Yeah. Should be nutty.
It's going to be fun to see. Have you gotten Vex yet, Dan?
I did. Yeah, I got it last week. And I fired it into the air in victory and then immediately put it in my vault.
Good boy. Yeah. You fire it and throw it away like, oh god, this is awful.
Well, I mean, I have a reason to take it out now. this coming week.
You're like Andy in Toy Story. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, hopefully when these updates go live, you can get that catalyst and have yourself a real monster of a weapon.
Heck yeah.
Moving on from there, I think Jotun got a change, but it wasn't really anything to write home about.
Right. Reduced charge time.
Yeah, damage adjusted. Like they said, you're not gonna notice it basically.
Yeah.
The two big ones that I see on this list right at the top of the exotic changes, Anarchy.
Yeah.
Got hit, reduced total reserve magazine ammunition from 26 to 16, and they reduced the damage by 30% versus bosses. Champions are not bosses, just a thing. And
Thank
then
you, Bungie.
The other one, which is like they hit the number 1 and 2 for what I think would be the overall like damage bearers, and that's they hit Xenophage, reduce the rate of fire from 120 to 90 RPM, and receives less of the machine gun PvE damage buff.
Right, because machine guns are getting a 20% damage buff in PvE, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, moment of silence for Anarchy. Pour one out for him. We all knew this was coming. It had been on top for a long time, basically since it came out. So, a good moment of silence for our good buddy, the good boy Anarchy. You did good.
Yep. Witherhorn's unaffected though.
That's true. Yeah, Wither Horde will still be a good default if you have to do your dot damage.
Yeah.
You know.
Wither Horde unaffected, which is funny because they mentioned, a lot of those breach-loaded grenade launcher changes, and then at the bottom, Wither Horde is unaffected.
It's
never
that sounds like a
ends.
Pokemon thing. Wither
Yeah,
Horde is
you-
unaffected.
G nerfs GLs. It's super effective. Wither
You're
Horde.
throwing fighting type attacks at a Shedinja. It's unaffected. You can't hurt it.
What about Fighting Lion though? Right, Fighting Lion's getting kind of a
Interesting.
Well,
Getting
changes.
bopped.
Yeah.
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 yeah, and this kind of ties into what you want to talk about, Dan. I think the infinite primary ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, crazy news. Was not expecting to hear about that. That's something that's been a topic of conversation for a long time. A lot of people have been asking for primary ammo to be infinite for a long time. Did not expect Bungie to ever actually do it. And so that came as a major surprise in this TWAB.
Yeah. It doesn't really mess with me, layman to the PvP experience, okay? It doesn't feel like it would affect the overall PvP sandbox because when are you running out of primary ammo in PvP?
When you're slaying out anyways.
Right.
Yeah, when you're slaying out in PvP, you run out of it.
And
Kinda
so
sucks.
like the big thing here that I see, like I really like that it's going to be affecting bows. I really like
Yeah.
that change overall. The big concern for me is like as somebody who runs PvE helps, there's that nice little feature where if you run out of ammo, you can just fire off everything and then you get that grace ammo back.
Vacuum. Yeah.
Have they said anything about that? Because
They have not.
that is problems in some situations. Glassway strike.
That's why they're incentivizing you using exotic primary. You'll get more special back.
Upset.
Just take Wishinder, bro. You're fine. Maybe we should vault that too with the Dreaming City. It just disappears from your collections.
I was
Lex would be upset. But...
Yeah. There was also like a video, a recent Bife video in which the background was just him slaying out with that, and I was like, "Damn, Bife, good job."
Highly edited.
But yeah, so the primary ammo thing is really interesting. Of course, Fighting Lion is a breech-loaded grenade launcher that takes primary ammo, not special ammo. And they mentioned that here in the TWAB. Its ammunition is coming from a lot to infinite here amongst some of the changes. I got it pulled up now. But they are making some other changes there. It's getting all the other changes that breach grenade launchers are getting. So it's getting its reload speed nerfed into the ground, which I find hilarious. Zero reload
It's going to be this many.
Yeah. And I find that change funny because who's not running auto-loading holster or slide shot on their grenade launchers?
Well, then also the holster mod.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it won't affect GLs.
It won't. Yeah.
But it won't affect GLs. Yeah.
The reason why you want it on a grenade launcher is because holster will not affect it.
Yeah, the value goes.
Yeah.
Right.
But
like ignition code, I mean, I'd say the proper PvP version of that is coming with blinding and slide shot anyway. So it's just like, oh no, I can't reload fast. Let me walk 2 steps.
I wonder who on the weapons team is like, I know what I'll do. I will put slide shot on a breach load GL.
yeah.
This will only end well.
Someone who wanted pain.
A couple other things that I want to note here. Scout rifles and hand cannons are going to be getting a 15% buff against miners, which is cool.
Good.
Maybe
Good.
scouts will finally feel like bows at this point in the game. And then sweet business. Let's talk about sweet business, shall we?
Yeah. Okay.
So the perks refilling the magazine when picking up primary no longer works because of the infinite primary perk, right? So now it refills magazine on picking up special heavy ammo instead of primary.
Which you'll get more of because it's an exotic.
And
Exotic,
Actium war
yeah.
rigs are going to be dumb as shit.
You're just going to hear a lot of burr. It's going to
Like just everywhere.
Well, for anti-barrier next season too, you're only getting auto rifle that we know for sure. I know that they
Yeah.
hinted at sword, but if you use a sword to take care of barrier champions and GMs, you are very sword and I. And so, and so, even with the Titan gloves, the fencing gloves, I forget what they're called, but sweet business. You spin it up, you start pounding away at that barrier champion, and the second their shield goes up, it's going to be gone.
Yep. And I mean, and Sweet Business already has a magazine size of like what, 999?
Well, now infinity.
Stupid is the official size, I think.
Oh, yeah, the proper term is stupid. Stupid huge, bro. So like, yeah, this is gonna be the gun you just start shooting with, and you stop when everything's dead. And I like that. Good. Lean. That's what that gun was supposed to be. That's clearly what the intention for it was. Way back when it first dropped in D2, and I'm glad that we have the ability to lean into that now that we don't have primary ammo as a limiting factor. And I think interesting stuff. I think it's a good change. Great change.
Because it effectively has spinning up and like overflow 0.05 or 0.5 on it, basically, right? Because overflow not only reloads when you walk over the brick, but it overflows the mag. This doesn't do that. It reloads it.
And I'm down with that.
Yeah, it's gonna be nutty. I like in the past when we've run like DSCs or something, Mosh Pat, bane of my existence, and one of my best friends has said rev them up, boys, and now I also too want to rev them up, boys. That will be real fun.
It's good stuff, man. It's a weapon that was that's getting a great indirect buff by the changes that Bungie's making to the ammo system here, and cannot wait. And again, the fact that that's going to be able to mix in with the bonus special and heavy ammo because you're using an exotic primary, that's a great change because you didn't have a lot. Well, other than stuff like Wither Horde, you didn't have too many incentives to use a lot of the exotic primaries in the game in a PvE environment.
Right.
And so I'm really happy we're seeing that here.
Another primary exotic that's going to have its stonks go up here next season, Unstoppable Pulse, Outbreak. If you're all using Outbreak, right, that Unstoppable is going to go down pretty gosh darn quick.
Right. Man, and that feels good because Outbreak Perfected is just such a good gun. Such a good gun. And like, in my opinion, it's one of the guns that is a victim of, say, the Anarchy craze because Outbreak Perfected is capable of dealing heavy damage.
Yeah.
Basically, heavy ammo amounts of damage if you give it enough time there. But when you have just some of the crazy combinations, especially with stuff like Breach and Clear and whatnot, with Anarchy, Bungie, what were you thinking? You know what? They knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah. And if you think about it, right, so Outbreak in a GM, you're all using it. So the Unstoppables are going to go down. But not only that, but just even red bar enemies in GMs, they go to the gym, man. They work out.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of health.
Yeah, they flex.
So now you're all beaming them. So the nanites are going everywhere. All the ads are taking extra damage.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's gonna be sick. Sick.
Day one, Tuesday, the 24th, is going to be just so chock full of me trying different weapons just to see how things are feeling in the new environment. There's a lot to look forward to there. Between the exotic armor changes and class changes that we heard in previous weeks to the weapon changes we're hearing about this week, there's a lot of stuff we're going to get to go through, and I could not be more excited about it. I'm really pumped on Season 15.
Heck yeah.
Looks good.
Who's ready to main stag?
Not this guy.
25% damage buff or debuff.
Yep. I'm
We
ready.
take 25% less damage.
Look, man.
I don't care how ugly my head looks.
You floofy boys have fun.
And I mean, Stag is it grants you rift energy when you're critically wounded, right?
Which happens a lot in GMs.
It
Oh,
happens
absolutely.
every time you're touched in GMs. So getting that damage boost while you're in risk there is going to be, I think that's going to be a pretty important exotic to pull forward, which is good because they're throwing your Phoenix protocol into the trash.
Garbage.
Get that shit out of here.
How do you feel about those changes, Crit? Like, because we learned last week about a bunch of the super regenning exotics and how Bungie's basically going to be capping those at 50%. How do you feel that's going to change PvE?
So I want to get to the motivation. Everybody sees an exotic nerf and goes, "They're killing my favorite exotic."
Yep.
Gosh darn Bungie, they don't play the game. They hate me. Gosh darn.
Specifically you. They hate you.
Yes, specifically you, John. No. Right? Like
Yep.
you you have to look at it from a dev's point of view. This is the reason Whisper was nerfed, right? These exotics are how we got Reckoning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's how we got to Reckoning. Did everybody enjoy Reckoning?
Only on days when it was Grenadier.
No, thank
Because
you.
I could throw instant
Yeah.
exploding fusion nades.
What was the solution to us being so powerful? We
Yep.
get stomped off a really narrow bridge by
That
a
was awful.
sea of ogres.
Truly awful.
Sounds like my third marriage. Continue.
We're gonna talk about that later, Dan.
Okay, sounds
Right.
good.
But anyways, it was necessary. But look at it this way: is Phoenix Protocol, are Ursa's getting hit in the junk? Yes, but Skull is gonna come back,
Yes.
right? Blade Barrage, you're finally gonna be able to put shards on and maybe not feel horrible about it. It's like if you're a video
Right.
editor and you work in sound editing, you know about normalizing
Yes.
volume, right? So Bungie just hit normalize on all those super regens, and we're also Warlocks are getting an extra super regening exotic, Blade Dancers and the robes.
Yeah.
So now your tickle fingers are gonna hurt harder the more you kill, which is great in endgame PvE content. But now you're gonna get that super energy regen, which is fantastic. Crown of Tempest finally has some form of competition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right, because there was no reason to use anything other than Crown of Tempest if you were running, or Geomags if you're running Middle Tree for,
Right.
That's true.
Kamehameha. But Crown of Tempest was just so centralized on top and bottom tree, and now with
You
the
don't run anything
changes,
else.
yeah, there's no reason to run anything else. And now with the changes to landfall and some of this other stuff, we might have an actual opportunity to see some other Warlock exotics getting used. That'll be nice. That'll be
Yeah.
nice. to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, so if you're upset that your favorite exotic was hit, I get it.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from, but you gotta look at the big picture, and the big picture is these exotics were defining how encounters were designed.
Yeah.
Right.
So real quick, why don't we go through the weapons that we'll be getting in season 15?
Yes.
Starting with
Yeah.
our ritual weapon, that is a rocket launcher that has explosive light on it.
Ooh, boy. That's going to be interesting. For
Yeah.
those who don't remember, explosive light was on the previous ritual weapon, the Wendigo, that grenade launcher. It's basically when you pick up orbs of light, you get I think it was 6 times stacking buff because you could hold 6 rounds in the magazine. And,
That blast radius went from itty bitty to big.
yeah, increased the blast radius and all of that. It was great. It was a pretty good perk. It being on a rocket launcher is going to be interesting.
And it was blinding grenades at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything. We'll talk about this a little bit later, I think, with the community questions. But everything is kind of, to me, pointing towards them wanting people to use rocket launchers and machine guns for in-game or
Yeah,
for boss damage.
seems to be the case.
Yeah, especially with this. What are your guys' thoughts on that overall?
Did you?
I mean, I think you're right. They clearly do want to move away from the whole just fire 3 shots of anarchy and switch to a shotgun, bro, type of thing. And they've been making those moves for a while. Rocket launchers used to be completely awful. They used to be among pretty much the worst heavy class in the game. And that really all kind of turned around with Beyond Light. They introduced some rockets with some really good perks. We got stuff like Lasting Impression, Frenzy, Chain Reaction's really good on rocket launchers. And so I think you're right. This is a natural evolution of that. We're getting this new rocket launcher. It's got explosive light. Again, massive blast radius increase with that perk. It's probably going to mix really well with charged with light builds because you've got a couple of like Argent Ordnance and some other builds like that are probably going to work really well with that rocket launcher. We're getting a buff to machine guns, which I think even Bungie says aren't underused. Like they've got decent usage numbers, but maybe not quite as much as what they think that they should be seeing with them. And so when we get buffs like this, especially that 20% buff to LMGs, I'm really interested in whipping out Thunderlord and seeing how that's going to work as a consistent damage option, because Thunderlord launched in a really great form.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
it
six
had,
600 lords versus one Riven. You know, you can
Yeah.
one phase Riven.
could one phase with the kind of damage it could put out, and kind of a sleeper hit on it, the fact that the Thunderbolts stagger enemies. You could stun lock some bosses with Thunderlord and just keep them from doing anything to you. It was a little silly. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think you're right on point when you say that Bungie's trying to make heavy weapons like rockets and machine guns the more go-to for boss damage. I think that's 100% the case.
And let's look at this seasonal, the pursuit weapon, right, for the rocket launcher. So what happens every time we get one of these things? You get 2 perks in the final 2 columns. One, generally speaking, one that's PvE in each spot, and one that's PvP in each slot. So what are your PvE perks that you can expect? We already know what's coming with the explosive.
Light?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think like a PvE perk they're going to put in the left column is probably like auto loading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then what do you think is going to be the PvP perk they put in that left column? Like impulse
left
amplifier?
column.
I have no idea.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think impulse amplifier possibly was a little
Maybe
bit faster.
tracking. Could possibly be tracking.
Maybe. If it's not a precision archetype automatically. Remember, precisions have built-in tracking.
Ooh, you're right about that. I completely forgot that those archetypes come with the tracking interlace.
Maybe cluster,
Yeah.
It could be cluster. It could be
explosive payload, or explosive light or cluster could be the columns, right? 2 choices, and
or
then
chain reaction. Well, no, because explosive
Oh.
is a better version of chain reaction, though, isn't it?
shoot.
Well, kind of, maybe, because chain reaction makes enemies explode, while explosive light's
Yeah.
just going to bump up that explosive radius. But see, that's the thing. Like, chain reaction isn't awful in PvP if you can kind of keep people together. But I think
I've gotten
light would probably
triples.
be the better.
I've gotten triples with a chain reaction rocket. I do a
Yeah.
little dad dance after. I'm like, oh, you got just owned by dad.
Right. With chain reaction. See, I mean, I see in the chat, Gray Fox is saying tripod. I don't think we're going to see tripod in anything outside of truth. I think
Yeah, they've learned their lesson.
Bungie was very, very. They didn't want another D1 Rocket scenario where they had tripod on all the best ones. Stuff like Hezen Vengeance with the Mervs and the mini clusters everywhere. I think that there's a specific reason they left tripod on just truth alone. We might get it might be Clown Cartridge. We could definitely
Yeah.
see that on there.
In Clown Cartridge, I got a Tomorrow's Answer. When Trials came out, I got a Tomorrow's Answer that came with Clown Cartridge, and it would never ever go past 2.
Yeah, there's always 2 for me.
So you've got a point, TBL. That could be the PvP one. I don't know, because how often are you reloading a rocket launcher in PvP though?
It depends on how much you're slaying out.
I mean, you get that one rocket. What do you do with it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got stuck down this rabbit hole. Sorry.
No, it's completely fine.
It could be overflow. Well, no, because that's well, I guess
Overflow
it
could work.
Overflow
It could be overflow or auto loading.
Yeah. There's options there. They've got
Yeah.
a bunch of. We have more than just 3 perks that are viable on rockets now. It's like a whole new world here in D2. I love it.
I'd start singing a song, but we'd get DMCA'd because it would be that perfect.
With the quickness.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't do that.
Moving on to our post-game rewards. Looks like Gambit is getting a scout.
Yes.
Crucible is getting a auto rifle, and Vanguard is getting a sidearm. What do you guys thinking of these?
We all know what we're waiting to hear from. Like, this is neat. We're getting a Suros auto rifle and sidearm and like a reskin scout. That's great. What's coming next?
What about Trials weapons? Are y'all running Prophecy Day 1?
Oh yes,
Absolutely.
100%.
There we go. There. It always confused me that Ikelos weapons and like Death Adder were in the Prophecy dungeon.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I like Death Adder, but why is it there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like this thanks, but it would have been really cool if this had been Darkest before.
I've missed my Darkest before. I have missed it for ages,
Yeah.
and it has. I'm so glad that it's coming back.
Yeah, it just seems to make sense that the Trials weapons would come back with that dungeon.
Perfect theming. And you know, Dan, this is something you and I have talked about here on the show for
For
months.
ages,
Like,
ages
we
and
said,
ages and ages.
why does this dungeon exist without the Trials of the 9 weapons? Like, there's no other way to get them right
The
now.
armor was there?
Super unique.
Yeah.
The armor is there. Why are the weapons not there? Thankfully, Bungie heard our cries.
Yeah.
And starting next season, the old, original, year 1 Trials of the 9 weapons are going to be dropping in Prophecy, and I could not be happier.
The best part about this, gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt you real
Go
quick,
ahead.
Dan. I just want to put that out
Please.
there. You get Darkest before, you don't like the roll, you could go back
Back in
and
farm.
keep
Yeah.
farming.
I can't get it in all the flavors that I like, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can at least get it. My big thing. So Benji mentioned on Twitter. He wanted to know if maybe the shader for Trials of the 9 would come on these two, and you break down the weapon and get the
Ooh.
shader.
It better.
I think it's just going to be the default skin.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's just going to be the default skin on the weapon, and you could shade from there.
gotcha.
Maybe they could just add that as an additional reward to Prophecy too. Just throw it all in Prophecy.
Yeah,
Dylan strikes me as the kind of guy who cares about fashion enough that he would have mentioned that in like a tweet or something
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. So, what is there a specific Trials weapon you guys are looking to get your hands on in particular?
Darkest before.
Darkest
Before.
Mhm.
Like that is it. That was my baby.
That was the king.
It's so smooth, it's so clean looking. I just want to take it home. And,
Do you need a moment with Darkest before, Dan?
guys, I need a minute. I'll be back.
Okay. Well,
Yep,
all
I'm
right.
there.
Turn off the webcam. Do what you got to do.
All
Turn
right,
off the
will
mic.
do. Will do. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I remember the shotgun being okay. Like, but I don't know. It's been ages.
Shotgun was what? A sudden death. Yeah, a sudden death. That was it.
Accurately named.
Yeah. It's
I was pretty partial to Prosecutor, the auto rifle. I thought it was real smooth auto, and given the place that autos are in right now, it's going to be interesting to play around
It
with.
felt real chunky to me, which I'm not a huge fan of chunky auto rifles. I like the zippy ones, but the chunky
What was the
ones-
archetype?
It was a 450, I want to say.
Precision's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was a 450.
Precision's now. So I did the 1000k kills on Shadow Price. Precision's.
I'm sorry.
I hate myself. No. So it always happens around the 700 kill mark. Like I get it.
Yeah.
Suddenly the weapon and I have a conversation and we understand each other. So if you're willing to put in the time, right? The meta is the meta, and of course you've always got those people who want to treat this like as an esport out there, making sure that nobody else gets to have fun in the Crucible. Cool, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry your mother didn't love you.
I don't love you either.
Yeah. But precisions can still work. You do have to be accurate, but every now and then you have that fun match where people just feed you and you
Yeah.
have
Run in a
fun.
straight line.
And they're great for that.
But how often do you have that match?
Not all.
Again, when I got to the when I got to the end of the review, like I said, that 700 kill mark, something happens and it clicks in my head. That's usually when I take off with the weapon. Like the last
Yeah.
300 kills take a quarter of the time the first 700 took.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like exponential. But if you're willing to commit to it, and that's true of anything in life, if you commit to something and spend the time, you'll get good at it.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. But yeah, super excited about the Trials of the 9 weapons coming back. And as if that wasn't good enough, we got like kind of the double whammy because the world loot pool is seeing a massive increase as well with
Yeah.
some classics like Scathe Lock and whatnot. I don't
Yeah.
even know if the rest matter. Scathe Lock.
That's all anybody cares about is Escape Lock.
The OG is coming back.
The Vice Scouts were always like wonderful
one.
though.
Those
Yeah.
things were such sleeper monsters.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, Mida multi-tool. And I'm sitting here with my Black Scorpion, like I just erased an entire team.
Yeah, it's
Like this is the best auto rifle in the game.
Yeah.
And it's a scout. Yeah.
they're amazing. The 260 RPM autos, like
Yeah.
Randy's throwing knife. People
Yeah.
like to forget this because it didn't look like any of the other Viced weapons. They're the only ones making the 260s, but Randy's was a 260.
It was good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I also want to note that we are getting a sidearm back that hasn't seen the light of day since before Forsaken. And that is the spoiler alert. And the spoiler alert text is someone's going to die.
Yeah, you cheeky bastards at Bungie. Very rude.
Yes.
Very rude.
I mean, the last time it showed up, Cade died. So.
The numbers, Mason. What do they
Cold.
mean?
What do
But
we
yeah,
think?
Those are coming. I mean, probably.
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 Should we start like a Deadpool, like right now? Like, should we start a PD Deadpool? Like, who we think has the greatest odds of dying before Witch Queen?
My mind is on a Susurrus.
Osiris. Yeah, I mean, Osiris Thune is probably a pretty
Yeah.
safe bet.
I think Mara's going to come back, see right through that, and play along. Let Savathun think she's got her, and they'd be like, "By the way, Savathun, how are you doing today?" Right there at
You
the
know
very
that's how it's gonna go. You know that she's gonna be the one to suss him out. Of course, yeah.
Of course.
Safe bet. Safe bet.
Yeah, I haven't read any of the spoilers or anything, but that's just the way I see it going.
I'd say it makes sense.
Yeah. All I know is that weapon has very weird history in Destiny 2.
Well, what's going to be weird is when Marasov goes to attack Savathun and Nem shows up out of nowhere to save Savathun. And fight on the other side, so.
Get down, my queen.
Nim hugs Osiris is like, my baby! My baby!
What do you need, darling?
Yeah, Nim unlocked the new subclass. Never mind, I can't say that on Twitch.
Nem's version of sword logic is a bit different than
Bit different.
the standard interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less sword logic, more simp logic. I said it anyway.
Oh, boy.
This is the final episode of Planet Destiny Podcast. I hope you all enjoy.
What if there's like a Hive Knight whose name starts NEM something? Like,
Oh, boy.
Come on. There
None of
needs
us
to be.
none of us planned it, but
Nemskur.
this is the last one.
But yeah, good stuff to look forward to, man.
Yeah. I think the final bit of business before we get into community questions, which I'm impressed that we got through all of that in just under an hour so far.
We're getting better.
Guys. Anti-cheat's coming to Destiny.
Anti-cheat is coming to Destiny.
let's be real. It's not going to solve all the problems.
Absolutely
Cheaters
not.
still exist in all of the games where Battle Eye is functioning. However, this, as is mentioned in the TWAB, a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And every journey begins with a single step, right? It's not a cure-all, but it is one of many small solutions working together to tackle the problem at whole.
Exactly. And for those who didn't hear, earlier this week, it was revealed that anti-cheat is coming to Destiny in the form of Battle Eye, which is one of the more premier video game anti-cheat systems out there. It's used in stuff like Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege, a ton of AAA games out there. And we'll be learning more about it on Wednesday or on Tuesday when the showcase goes live. And it's funny you mentioned that, Crit, because of course a lot of the responses were, "Hey man, like Battle Eye sucks. There's still cheaters in Rainbow Six Siege." And this guy who's played Rainbow Six Siege, yeah, there's still a bit of cheating in there. They do pretty regular ban waves though. But we're going from 0 anti-cheat to 1 anti-cheat.
Which math will tell you is infinitely more.
Infinitely more than 0 anti-cheat. And it's something that has been needed for a long time for Destiny 2 here on PC. And I cannot wait for it to become a thing. I only have one thing to say to Bungie when it comes to this. Happy to hear about it. This is great. I've said this before when they they talked about implementing other forms of anti-cheat. Can we please finally do video game capture for OBS now? Because, like, the reason you don't let us link into the client for capturing content for streams, you said way back in the day, was because you didn't want people to cheat. People are cheating anyway. Can we please get game capture? I'm sick of recording a window and a monitor. It's so much worse than game capture. Please. You got the anti-cheat coming. Please let me do it.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, first world problems. That's only a
Yeah.
thing that streamers would care about.
what's also interesting is that on the 18th of August, Bungie also filed 3 more lawsuits against
Yeah.
Lavi Cheats, Veteran Cheats, and Wall Hacks Elite Boss Tech.
Sue them into the poorhouse.
You know, it's what Activision and a couple of other companies have started doing, and it seems to work. You know, you're never going to get rid of all cheating. I mean, of course not. There's always going to be a market for it, and there's always going to be somebody popping up with a new program to do that sort of stuff. But this is a good way to kind of keep stamping down on the ones that are the big problem childs for right now. So
It's asymmetrical warfare, and the advantage is always
Yeah.
going to be on the side of the cheaters because they can move independently and they're very agile. They don't have to worry about getting checks passed through multiple third parties, and they can
Yep.
just implement and go.
But either way, this is a great step in the right direction. Really excited to hear about BattleEye coming to Destiny 2, and I cannot wait to see a better, slightly more healthy Crucible on PC.
I may actually play with my PC friends when cross-platform comes out.
Yeah.
Crossplay.
yeah.
I was not going to join my PC friends in the Crucible. I was going to be like, I love you, but I can't. Now,
Yeah.
I might consider it.
Maybe. Right on.
Well, that is an interesting transition into the first question for community
Let's do it.
questions. All right. So, Rock Studios, do you think that all of these changes to the weapons and so forth are primarily to level the playing field between PC and console for crossplay?
Specifically to level the playing field between PC and console.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that's the main focus there. I think this is this is what's the way to put it? That's probably got something to do with it. You know, I mean, Bungie does they obviously have to have paid some mind to that. The notion of mixing these player pools together in the future and how the different sandboxes are going to work. Because, of course, weapons do feel different on PC than the way they generally do on console. There's way less stability issues. Everything's recoil's virtually non-existent with most things on PC. So I'm sure that has a bit to do with it, but I think it's mostly just the normal balancing that they're still trying to figure out their perfect level of balance. You know, this is the same sort of thing we see every couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's multiple birds, one stone.
Yeah.
Right, second and third order effects. Maybe the main target was to reduce overly aggressive play styles. And then the second and third order effects are console players stand a better chance against mouse and keyboard users now. This weapon becomes more usable on console where it was only usable on PC now. So it's like I said, this happens, and then there's other things that happen as a consequence.
Right. It definitely does feel like they're flattening a lot of curves when it comes to like how Destiny works for certain players. You definitely know what you're going to be getting when you use a specific archetype or a specific exotic armor, things of that nature. You're definitely going to see the same returns across the board rather than maybe them having too spiky of a characteristic.
Yeah. And let's not forget, this is also not happening in a vacuum. This is happening in an environment where scavenger stacking is going away. This is happening in an environment where X, Y, and Z are happening. So these things all interact with each other.
Again, you know, something that's been the topic of conversation basically since D2 came out on PC on this show is the disparity between mouse and keyboard play and controller play. It's really not nearly as vast of a gap as people think, especially considering just how heavy aim assist is for controller play in Destiny 2. This is what's the nice way to put this? This is like one of the most hand-holdy first-person.
It's generous. It's
very
generous.
generous.
Is the
Well,
polite way.
With its aim assist.
We
So,
also saw last week that controller sensitivity and traction. Like,
yeah,
we're going to be getting more options.
big thumbs up for that.
Yeah. So, like, they're trying to close that gap even more so for both of those.
And if you're sitting there ready to type on Twitter, why did this take so long? Yada yada yada. I mentioned Holtzman brought this up when people talked about removing just emotes from trials. Like, it has to be play tested.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? You remove emotes from trials, and suddenly precision frame sidearms are doing too much damage to champions on Tuesdays.
But only on Tuesdays. And
Only
on
on
Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Yeah, it's just it's an exaggeration, but it's an example of things have consequences.
And I mean, think about it. There was a legitimate time in this game where an emote was breaking trials.
Yeah.
Like, everything that they add or take away or modify to the game has to be extensively tested. So, yeah.
Next question comes from Tywin. Well, there's a name I haven't seen in a while. Question for later. One of the fusion out of the fusions available, which are you looking forward to trying out with the changes next season?
Ooh. Well, we start with you, Crit.
I think I said it earlier when I covered it, but man, that plug one I have
Yeah.
with arrowhead, liquid coils, it's got heating up, it's got cornered, masterwork, and I've threw a stability adept mod on there. It's already fantastic. I think I'm gonna get some nice hate mail and ban some people on Xbox comms coming next season.
Right on. I'm probably going to start playing out with a lot of the exotic ones first. Merciless is probably going to be the first thing I whip out just to see how the damage works in PvE. In terms of legendary ones, I mean, I'm still pretty jazzed on the Null Composure. It's still probably one of my favorite weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I said this before, Null Composure is just the shorter, less buff, less attractive younger brother of Salvager's Salvo.
Yeah, and it's living in the shadow of its predecessor to what was the name? Main Ingredient.
And Main Ingredient, and all of that. But I'm gonna be I'll be trying that out to see how that works with the new changes to the number of bolts that it fires and the damage increase in PvE. It's gonna be some interesting stuff.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I would say Merciless just for the pure curiosity of the thing. But Null Composure is my go-to as well in PvE. So that's at least in VoG. I don't know. I'm not a huge fusion rifle main. So like I'll have to pick some stuff up and see how I feel about it before I jump into anything else. I'm more excited about bows.
Weirdo. You're so weird.
I'm so into it.
All about it.
An underserved portion of the community, IMO.
Yes.
Are the bow mains. Like, anytime I make a piece of bow content, that stuff sells like hotcakes.
Hell yeah, it does. Because bows are rad as shit, and they're better than scout rifles, and nobody can tell me any different.
Well, I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
They are better than scout rifles.
Now they have infinite ammo.
Now they've got infinite ammo.
So do scouts, and also a 15% buff. So we'll see what happens.
My stochastic variable with Feeding Frenzy multi-kill clip is going to appreciate the infinite ammo more than anything, because that is a gun that when I take it out, I have fun. But man, she's an alcoholic and she drinks champagne.
Talk dirty to me.
Yeah.
That is, you're having fun on a primary when you go click.
Oh.
Talk
Reload.
dirty to me. Let's go. The next question comes from, excuse me, Hot Rod R55. How good is Telesto going to be as an unstoppable weapon, and how hard do you think Hallowed Lair will be as a GM?
Ooh, Hollowed Lair is going to be tough.
I don't want to think about that second part.
Yeah, Hollowed Lair is going to be...
The tank room. The tank room.
is
Tank
gonna be
room?
bad. Then
The
waves-
ads at the end.
the ad waves in between the boss phases is gonna be rough.
So you guys
Um,
are missing out on something here. Just something here.
Okay.
You guys are missing out that we're finally getting Scorn champions.
Shackle finally got her
Ew.
wish. Shackle got her wish. We're gonna get unstoppable explodey boys.
Yes! Bring the
Ew.
screams!
This isn't what I wanted for the 15th wish.
Bring the
Ew.
screams!
It's a monkey paw
for
wish.
Ew.
Destiny players, we want more GMs. Monkey paw wish. Okay. Hello there.
Enjoy your hollowed lair, bro. Now with 50% more champion exploding screams. Ew.
What if the guys who throw the traps out, like the invulnerability traps?
Oh,
the
boy!
fire, the arc ones that freeze you.
Oh, boy!
What if those are like the overloads, and they're just like, you get a trap, and you get a trap.
I see you hiding behind that pillar there. Be a shame if I dropped an anchor over there. Oh, man, there you go. That's gonna be nasty.
And the arc damage the boss puts on the floor,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
you're gonna be
pools.
dead instantly.
The thunderbolts.
Quasi Kyle. Oh my god, what is my mouth doing today?
Oh, we forgot the Telesto part.
Oh yeah, the Telesto bit.
That's gonna break everything.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Telesto will do what Telesto always does.
That's what it do.
Yeah, and plus, like, anytime like you use any explosive payload, anything against champions, it's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, that's my go-to, at least in GMs. So
A lot of this is going to depend on the artifact mods we get to.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ooh, I so want to know what happens, like, if we're gonna get melee or grenade change, like, artifact mods.
Like champion stuns?
Mm-hmm.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really hoping so. Quasi Kyle asks, what weapon type do you think the new seasonal exotic will be? Because we haven't seen that yet.
We just had a sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was before that? What was the hunt season exotic?
Was that...
Wither Horde.
No, Wither Horde was
Gatherings.
Arrivals, right?
Arrivals, yeah.
Yeah?
That's right. Yeah. That was
Yeah, we had Duality.
Duality. Yeah, that was the seasonal
Okay.
exotic.
Duality, Cryostasia. What was last season?
We had Tikus.
Tikus.
Yeah. I say trace rifle. I say stasis trace rifle.
Ooh,
I like where you're at with
Yeah.
that.
that's going
I
to be
like
a
where
heavy too, though, right? Because stasis weapons will only either be kinetic or power.
What if it? No, it could be an exotic kinetic, right? Because the stasis weapons are going to be air quotes kinetic, but they only freeze or
Right.
slow with like an on-kill perk. It
Kill,
sounds
yeah.
like
Yeah, you can only
like-
freeze or slow with kills.
Cryostasia. So what if it's a legend? It's an exotic kinetic stasis weapon that's got some kind of kill or slow trigger.
That's where I have no idea what it would do. Like what it does on kill, what its special ability is, I have no idea. But I wouldn't be surprised if we got a stasis like trace rifle or something.
What if you beam somebody and over time you slow freeze?
I could see that. That way, it's not really that useful in PvP. It's more so useful against like really tanky enemies in PvE
Yeah.
and being able to freeze them almost on command. I could see that.
So here's the thing. I'm upset because Cold Heart isn't stasis.
It's not.
It's Cold Heart uses cold to
Cold.
keep the arc engine inside from exploding.
Yes.
I hate that explanation.
Cool. It's
I reject
coolant.
this reality.
It's technically shooting arc, which is only not blowing up in your face because coolant is
No,
poured
thank
into
you.
it.
No, thank you.
Like Captain Cold's gun.
Mm,
He
mm,
doesn't shoot freeze rays at you. He shoots cold at you.
mm. All right, we got 2 more questions. Okay. Mr. Dunes asks, what do you guys think about the machine gun buff, specifically toward ad clear? 20% flat damage increase is huge, and not just for bosses. GMs
Yeah.
especially. Do you see yourself potentially losing boss damage when your power weapon is in exchange for superior ad clear?
I think it's going to be, you know, when you're running GMs, you generally have people set up to do specific roles anyway. Like one person's going to be in charge of dealing with the lesser ads, one person's in charge of dealing with this specific type of champion. So I think, yeah, you'll have a person who's dedicated to clearing ads and stuff like that, who's probably going to be using LMGs. You know, that 20% damage buff is going to be pretty significant. We have some decent hard hitting LMGs out there, especially with perks like Firing Line coming back. That's getting a little bit of a nerf next season, but it is going to be coming back to more LMGs. Or if you have the old 7th Seraph Saw, you could get it on that, and it was a pretty hard hitting weapon. 20% buff for that, gotta be good. I already talked about Thunderlord earlier in the episode. I can't wait to try that out.
You have to stop and think about it. There are basically two different types of bosses in a Nightfall. There's Protheon, who you shake and bake with three chaos reaches, or there's Fallen Saber, where immunity phase.
Time gate.
Yeah, every GM requires a different loadout. So some GMs you're gonna need. Maybe you're all rolling machine guns. Maybe that's the solution for some GMs. Like when I soloed Warden of Nothing back in the old day, when you could like set the modifiers yourself and everything.
Yeah.
I brought Hammerhead because there were only void shields.
Yep.
And I needed to be able to take care of the Minotaurs in the bomb room.
Right.
So I brought Hammerhead. Machine guns are specific tools for specific jobs. And it's going to what's the problem you're trying to solve, and is a machine gun the right answer will become the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. 100% agree.
Oh man, I miss Hammerhead.
Good gun, man.
It's a good gun.
It's a good gun.
It was quite the return for machine guns.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
they brought back basically the spiritual successor to like the BTRD in Hammerhead, which was BTRD was, in my opinion, the top tier legendary machine gun of D1, and Hammerhead really kind of filled out that same sort of role, where it was just this perfect mixture of power, high ammunition, you know, high magazine size, great range, and crazy stability with a good perk pool.
The adaptive frames are always good.
Yep, I miss it.
Same. So I told you I had two more, and then I lied. Kipper, thoughts on the legendary stasis weapons?
Gonna be interesting to see how they work. We talked a bit about it earlier, in that a lot of people were concerned about the way the stasis weapons are going to work. Like, are they going to slow on shot and stuff like that? No. Whatever their abilities are going to be, it's going to happen on kill, which I think is probably the right way to handle it.
100%.
It means they're basically going to be glorified kinetic weapons.
Yeah.
They're going to be glorified kinetic weapons until they get a kill, and then they're going to have some kind of extra ability. So we'll just have to see.
What, like, how long does Kratos TCF freeze you for in the Crucible? Like a blink of an eye? It's like the Warlock melee, right? Like
half a second.
they've come a long way in terms, and they still have some ways to go. Shadow Dive comes to mind immediately, but in terms of Stasis's dominance, it's really been brought to heel. And Kipper's an amazing player, so he's going to adjust and be fine.
Yeah.
No matter. Anyways, Mudkip, you know you're awesome. He'll just know you them with like the Titan boots, because that's his style. I think Dan's right. You're probably going to have stasis weapons out there with stasis perks, but it's not going to be all stasis perks in that right column. You're still going to have like Rampage. You're still going to have Kill Clip or something. So people are understandably PTSDing a little bit, but I can promise you that, or I can't promise you, but I think it'll be handled well.
No promise them, Crit. Promise them.
No, I'm not smart than that. I'm older than that.
What about anyways, my mouth, dude. Gray Fox 2K30 asks, final question of the night. With 7 years of Destiny this year, what could have Bungie done differently from the beginning to line up things 7 years down the road? Cohesive story, better weapon balancing, maybe 2 tokens in a blue?
Okay, so this is basically asking, with the perfect vision of hindsight, or that great South Park superhero, Captain Hindsight.
Love that
What could
character.
Yeah, great character. Doesn't actually help. Just shows up and tells you what you should have done and then leaves. That's actually who we are.
Yeah.
That's who non-devs are. We're all Captain Hindsight, flying over to Bungie to tell them, hey, that Trials of the Nine thing shouldn't have done it. You should have just left it as Trials of Osiris and ported that exact system over.
We're all
That would have.
we are all armchair devs.
We're all Captain Hindsight in
Mm-hmm.
in an armchair. Um, So his question was, what could Bungie have done differently to line things up?
Yeah. 7 years of hindsight.
Well, I mean, I think the most obvious thing to say would be have their story completely sussed out before the game came out. Because remember, D1 was completely taken apart, chopped up, and then thrown back together. It didn't. The story of D1 didn't even remotely resemble what I think who was it? Not Staten, but I can't remember who the one of the main writers for the original story for D1 was before he left. But somebody in chat will get it.
Yeah.
But the original story for D1 was basically taken apart a year before the game launched, chopped up, and then thrown back in a kind of incomprehensible manner. We all remember I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been something that it's taken Bungie this 7 years to kind of put back together. Because if you look at where the story is going now, if you look at what's happening in the story up to this point and where it's going now, we're actually much closer to the original story of D1 than we were when D1 first came out. A lot of those, was it Staten? Good.
It seems so.
Maybe maybe I'm not that old. I knew something was right there. But it's kind of funny. A lot of the things that were left to the fringes of the lore, of the grimoire, of the specters of that original story that was supposed to be there. Destiny was supposed to have a really deep original story. A lot of that seems to have come back with some of the changes in the directions that they're going here in Destiny 2. So, if you had the power to go back in time with perfect hindsight, I would say, yeah, get the story together before the game came out. But I'd say right now they're kind of it's funny how we're kind of moving to where that story was originally supposed to go anyway.
My answer is to say no, but thank you to Activision.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah. Perfect hindsight. 100%.
oh yeah, thank you, Captain Hindsight.
Yeah.
For many, not just what we've learned about Activision Blizzard culture, but also they were popping champagne bottles when they announced they were free again.
Yeah.
That is a big indicator. That says a lot without saying a lot.
And man, it's of course, the partnership with Activision probably brought them a lot of extra capital to build things with.
Yeah.
And two studios.
And two studios to help, front load a lot of that initial content for D2 and get that out of the door in a really quick amount of time. But seeing what some of the hints, and I don't think we've ever gotten direct numbers, we've only got kind of hints of the money that Bungie's making now from Destiny 2 and microtransactions. Turns out they may not have needed Activision if they had just stuck around.
And the question was, what could they do to like cohesively line everything up better?
Yeah.
Activision wants, I want a game this year.
Yep.
And next year I want a game.
Yeah.
And the year after that I want a game. And the year after that I want a game.
Yeah.
Right? And that forced Bungie's hands into making D2, and they probably didn't feel like they needed to. And we know that once they cut free, they were like, yeah, D3 ain't happening.
Yep. We're going to keep working on this until we get it into a perfect spot, and then we'll think about D3.
And so 2 years later, we're starting to see their vision for what they would have probably been aiming for this whole time.
Which, again, is funny, because like I said before, we're kind of heading into the direction that Destiny was going before it initially launched. And I find that to be interesting. Very interesting. And I'm really happy that Bungie is making a lot of money. They've made a lot of money off the Destiny franchise. They've gotten a lot of other investments from other companies. That's why they're able to work on other games. They've got some other mobile game they're working on right now. But I think it's rather interesting that, they moved away from the big publisher funding a lot of their work and have been able to make probably more money
Yeah.
doing that. Good for them.
So this conversation like makes me go like full Loki time variance.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
so there is a future where we are not sitting here talking about this game.
Yep.
Where Destiny was an experiment that was tried. Maybe the story was better, maybe it was about the same. I think the big thing that Bungie did well in Destiny and Destiny 2 is the gun feel. Overall,
Oh yeah.
that is the biggest thing towards their success, I think. And had that been off, we probably would be in that reality where
Yep.
we're not talking about this game at all. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They're a very talented group of people. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
So
that generous Amos's TBL was talking about.
yeah.
It is. I mean, that's definitely a big part of it. But as far as first-person shooters go, the gun feel in Destiny is among, if not the best that I've ever experienced. And I play a lot of first-person shooters. I'm a Halo guy. I'm a Call of Duty guy. I'm a Battlefield guy. I was playing Rainbow Six earlier today. I play Division all the time. I play a lot of first-person and third-person shooters. And there's no game out there that has gunplay that feels as good as Destiny. Like that's one thing that they have nailed better than everybody else. And it's certainly probably the one thing you can't really complain about.
Yeah. So, surprise, there's one more question.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it wasn't
Okay.
from chat. Well, it was from chat, but not this chat. It's
Okay.
from my chat earlier today. There's a question posed, I believe, by MJ the Blade. And it goes as this. On Tuesday, if they were to announce, or what do you want more? Would you want 100 more slots in your vault, come Witch Queen, or automatic dismantling of blues?
Oh.
You can only have one.
I'll take the vault space in a heartbeat. I can always hit dismantle blues. I'll take the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I can always dismantle the blues. Like I
Not
That-
on,
there-
I'm on
there's-
that blues train.
yeah, I'm on,
It's the one thing you don't get more of.
I mean, there's no change. Like if we get the vault space, we're getting an increase there. But I'm already pressing buttons to dismantle my blues, so no change there. It's good. I think the vault vault space for me.
Plus, if you auto dismantle blues, so I put this out in a tweet earlier this year. I think a few weeks ago when the Nightfall was the Disgraced. There's a blue GL. It's right
Yes.
now. It's the only arc special ammo GL that comes with blinding, and it's got field prep. So you take that into a GM, power level is going to equal out and everything. Now you can take care of all the night shields. You've got
Yeah.
blinding, and field prep means that you have like a basically extra reserves perk on your chest for free.
Real strats right there, pulling out blue weapons to deal with hardcore enemies. It reminds me of that one green LMG in D1. It was the only LMG that could get, what was it? That one perk that slowed down the rate of fire but increased impact. And it made it so that LMG 2-tapped in Crucible. It was like the Xerxes C or something like that. So you could only, it was only if you went and farmed specific low-level areas to get it could you get that and just 2-tap people. It was great.
And right now there's also, I mean, obviously this may change on Tuesday. There's a Solar Scout that's a blue. It's the only Solar Scout that comes with explosive rounds.
Ah.
You guys
I mean,
clearly do not use farming mode.
I do not. Can confirm.
No.
I use farming mode all the time. And I have blues sitting in my vault. And it aggravates me to no end.
It's got blues coming out the wazoo.
Yeah. How
So you do that to yourself.
Let's see. Well, no,
Self-inflicted
I
wound.
understand that because it's just like, oh, future me will want to deal with this, and then future me is like, damn you, past me. Why?
Past you.
A
Past
victim
you
of
is
my
very
own laziness.
I hate it. I hate it so much. How many? I have 5 Fatum Prevaricator Warlock bonds. I got 5 of those. I could have cursed in another language, and I don't even know.
Bonds are literally the
did.
thing you only need 3 of.
I hate it.
Yeah.
And then you're fine. One of each element, and then you can literally
That's it.
dismantle the rest.
Throw them away.
Hate it.
Maybe you could have one for the raid, I guess, for the raid armor bonuses.
Hate it. All right. Anyways, that's it. That's all the questions fit to print.
All the questions fit to print. Well, then, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that brings us to the end of episode 290 of the Planet Destiny podcast. This has been a pretty good one. We got to go through all that big news. We've got a huge week of content ahead of us. I hope you all are going to spend some time with us this week when we do our little live coverage of the Bungie showcase for the Witch Queen and beyond. And then, of course, as we're going into season 15 all throughout the week. It's going to be an exciting week. You need to make sure you're paying attention to everybody, because there's going to be probably hundreds of thousands of videos about hundreds of thousands of things coming from hundreds of thousands of directions. So make sure you're staying tuned. But Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. And of course, before we get on out of here, we are going to let you know where you can find all of us across the internet, starting with our guest host, the one, the only Critbuff. Take the floor, please.
Well, thank you, TBL. So you can find me on my YouTube channel, which is just Critbuff. You can find me there. I'm on Twitter as Critbuff. And unfortunately, some evil, demented soul took Critbuff on Twitch. So there I'm Critbuff. I am Critbuff, all lowercase.
No one goes unscathed. No one's
except
SEO
me.
is perfect.
Except
for you, yeah. Whatever, TBL.
I feel like I'm, because I've said that so many times on this show. I feel like I'm karmically setting myself up for disaster.
One of these days,
Some downfall will become you.
one of these days, there's gonna be some newfangled platform, and just somebody somewhere who has listened to this has heard this comment and says,
Oh no.
"I'm gonna get that."
Now is the time. I am the Black Link. We know the pain. Oh, Dan, what about you, man?
Oh, hi. My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are else. You can also find me on YouTube, but I don't have 100 subscribers yet, so I'm like long numbers, letters name. So hopefully someday soon I will also have Danfinity there. I just put out a video about the 100.io, a tutorial of sorts, if you're interested in that LFG service. You can also find my podcast, Beardo, returning this Wednesday with Patrick Sterling, who is a DaVinci Resolve editor and tutorial creator. I have my streams coming back starting on Tuesday, twitch.tv/Danfinity. And last but not least, on Tuesday at 9 a.m. PDT, August the 24th, here on the Planet Destiny channel, you can come and hang out. We're going to be doing a talk over the announcement for Witch Queen and seeing if we can survive the truth.
It's going to be a fun time. I can't wait for that.
I get killed by that rocket launcher all the time. I don't think I'm going to make it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm so
rest
sorry.
in peace. It does follow you around the world.
Yeah.
But of course, my name is The Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at The Black Link. This is going to be a monumental week, as Dan just said, Tuesday. A bit before reset time when the Bungie Workshop's going live. You'll be able to find us here on the Twitch channel for Planet Destiny. Planet Destiny. We're _ Destiny, right?
Planet _ Destiny.
Regular Destiny. Yeah, twitch.tv/Planet _ Destiny. We'll be here talking about everything that we're going to be learning on Tuesday. And of course, all the new news videos and whatnot will be going up on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel at youtube.com/Planet Destiny. Make sure you're staying tuned. This is going to be one heck of a week for Destiny. Can't wait to catch you guys in it. But all right, that is it for episode 290 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to this week in Destiny. We'll see you all next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.